Sunwoo checked his uniform one last time in the mirror of his small room on Horizon Station. Today was important. After 3 years in deep space, humans would finally meet the Ardani face to face. Don't mess this up, he told himself. As the station's lead xenobiologist, Sunwoo had studied the Ardani for months through video calls. They looked like giant bugs with shiny shells and 6 legs. But they were smart, maybe smarter than humans, and they had spaceships that could travel very fast. The door chimed. "The Ardani ship has docked," said a voice over the speaker. "All welcome team members report to Bay 3. Sunwoo took a deep breath and left his room. The hallways of Horizon Station were busy with people rushing around. Everyone wanted to see the aliens, but only the welcome team would meet them first. Captain Lee stood at the airlock door with 5 other team members. She nodded at Sunwoo. "Ready, Dr. Kim." "As ready as I'll ever be," said Sunwoo. The airlock hissed and began to open. Sunwoo's heart beat faster. This was history happening right in front of him. 3 Ardani walked through the door. They stood as tall as humans, but had bodies covered in hard shells. 2 had green shells. 1 had a shell that shined blue and purple when the light hit it. Their 6 legs moved in perfect order as they walked. Their heads had big eyes that seemed to look everywhere at once. Captain Lee stepped forward. "Welcome to Horizon Station. I am Captain Lee." The blue Ardani moved forward. When it spoke, the words came from a small box on its chest. "I am Hannah, science leader. We are pleased to meet you." Sunwoo was surprised. The translator made the Ardani's clicks and buzzes sound like a woman's voice, and the name, Hannah, sounded Korean, just like his grandmother's name. After the welcome, Sunwoo was told to show Hannah the science labs. They walked through the station together. People stopped to stare at the alien. "Your people seem curious," said Hannah. "Yes, you're the first aliens we've met in person. You are our first contact too. Your soft bodies are strange to us." Sunwoo laughed. "I guess we do look very different." In the lab, Sunwoo showed Hannah the rock samples from nearby planets. The Ardani moved closer, her head tilting to see better. "These contain useful minerals," she said. "Yes, that's what I found too. But some have strange patterns we don't understand." Hannah's front legs touched one of the rocks. "On my world, we have similar formations. They come from very old seabeds." Sunwoo was excited. Already they were learning from each other. "I thought we would work well together," said Hannah. "Your messages showed a good mind." "Thank you. I think we have a lot to teach each other." Hannah's head moved in what Sunwoo guessed was a nod. "Yes, but there is much about humans I do not understand. You take big risks. You go to dangerous places. You hold on to damaged things." "That's just how we are," said Sunwoo. "We explore. We fix things instead of throwing them away." "Interesting," said Hannah. "Ardani believe in practical solutions. If something is broken beyond use, we discard it. If a limb is trapped, we cut it off and grow a new one." Sunwoo was shocked but tried not to show it. "We have a saying," he said. "Where there's a will, there's a way. It means if you want to solve a problem badly enough, you'll find a solution." "A strange idea," said Hannah. "But I am here to learn about humans. Perhaps you will show me this will someday." Sunwoo smiled. "I'm sure I will." He didn't know then how soon that day would come, or how much it would change both their worlds. 1 month after the Ardani arrived at Horizon Station, Sunwoo sat in the meeting room with 5 other people. Captain Lee stood at the front, pointing at a big screen. "This is Teros," she said. "The planet has huge cave systems with unusual crystals. We need to study them." Sunwoo looked at the team. There was Jai-Ho, a human engineer with thick glasses and quick hands. Next to him sat Doyen, a security officer with short hair and strong arms. 2 Ardani with green shells sat across the table, and beside Sunwoo was Hannah, her blue shell shining under the lights. "We leave tomorrow," said Captain Lee. "Any questions?" Jai-Ho raised his hand. How deep are these caves? Very deep. Our scans show they go down at least 5 miles. Doyen frowned. Sounds dangerous. One of the green Ardeni made a clicking sound. Danger is part of discovery, it said through its translator. After the meeting, Sunwoo helped Hana pack equipment in the lab. Have you been in caves before? He asked. Many times, said Hana. On my world, we live in cave cities, but we build them carefully. Wild caves can be unsafe. On Earth, people explore caves for fun, said Sunwoo. Hana's head tilted. For fun, with no purpose. The purpose is adventure, to see what no one has seen before. Strange, said Hana. Ardeni only take risks when the benefit is clear. The next morning, they boarded a small ship and flew to Teros. The planet was rocky with thin air. Everyone wore special suits to breathe. The cave entrance is just ahead, said Doyen, checking a map on her wrist. They walked to a dark hole in the ground. Jiho turned on powerful lights, and they began to climb down. The cave walls sparkled. Red, blue, and green crystals grew everywhere. Sunwoo took samples and put them in bags. Hana used a tool to measure energy coming from the crystals. These are like nothing I've seen before, said Sunwoo. They seem to be alive somehow. Not alive, said Hana, but they store energy in an unusual way. They climbed deeper. The path got steep. Sometimes they had to squeeze through narrow spaces. After 4 hours, they reached a huge room deep underground. Look at this, whispered Jiho. The room was filled with giant crystals. Some were as tall as trees. They glowed with their own light, making soft colors dance on the walls. Amazing, said Sunwoo. He walked forward, taking pictures with his camera. Hana followed, her scanner beeping. These crystals are very old. Millions of years, at least. The two green Ardeni moved to the far side of the room. They clicked to each other in their own language. What are they saying? Asked Sunwoo. They think we should take some large samples back, said Hana. These crystals could be valuable. Jiho was setting up lights around the room. Captain Lee said to be careful. We don't know if these crystals are stable. Doyen nodded. Humans have a saying, better safe than sorry. Ardeni have a similar saying, said Hana, but ours is better decisive than dead. Sunwoo laughed. That's more direct than our version. They spread out to study different parts of the crystal room. Sunwoo and Hana worked together, taking readings and small samples. My people would not spend this much time studying, said Hana. We would decide quickly what is useful and take it. Humans like to understand things first, said Sunwoo. We want to know how these crystals formed, what they're made of, and if they're connected to the planet's core. So many questions, said Hana. Is that why humans have spread so far in space? Always asking questions. I think so, said Sunwoo. We can't help but wonder what's over the next hill or around the next star. Suddenly, the ground trembled. Small rocks fell from the ceiling. What was that? Asked Jiho, looking up with worry. A ground shake, said one of the green Ardeni. We should leave now. No one argued. They gathered their equipment quickly. As they headed toward the exit tunnel, Sunwoo felt the ground shake again, harder this time. Hurry, said Doyen. I don't think this place is stable. None of them knew that the worst was yet to come. Move faster, Doyen called from the front of the line. The security officer waved her light, urging everyone toward the tunnel that led up and out of the crystal cave. The ground shook again, harder this time. One of the smaller crystals fell and broke into pieces. This is not good, said Jiho, checking the small device on his wrist. These readings show more shakes coming. The team hurried toward the exit tunnel. Sunwoo helped Hana carry the samples they had collected. The two green Ardeni moved quickly on their 6 legs, already halfway to the tunnel. Just as they reached the tunnel entrance, a loud crack filled the air. The sound was like thunder but deeper. The whole cave shook so hard that everyone fell down. Earthquake, shouted Jiho. Large rocks began to fall from the ceiling. Doyen pulled Jai-Ho into the tunnel for safety. The green Ardani scurried in after them. Sunwoo grabbed Hana's front leg and ran toward the tunnel. They were almost there when a huge section of the ceiling broke free. Rocks crashed down all around them. Sunwoo dove into the tunnel, pulling Hana with him. But as they fell, a massive boulder crashed down, landing on Hana's right back leg. Hana made a high-pitched sound that hurt Sunwoo's ears. It was clearly a cry of pain. When the shaking stopped, dust filled the air. Everyone coughed and turned on their lights to see through the thick dust. "Is everyone okay?" called Doyen from further up the tunnel. "I'm fine," said Jai-Ho. "We are undamaged," clicked one of the green Ardani. Sunwoo looked at Hana. "Are you hurt?" "My right back leg is trapped," she said. Her voice sounded calm through the translator, but Sunwoo could see her body trembling. He shined his light on Hana's leg. It was pinned under a boulder bigger than a car. The leg was crushed flat against the ground. "Don't move," said Sunwoo. "We'll get you out." The two green Ardani moved closer and clicked to each other. Then one spoke. "The leg must be cut off," it said simply. "What?" "No," said Sunwoo. "We need to move the rock." The green Ardani's head tilted. "The rock is too big. The leg is crushed. Cutting is faster and safer." Hana clicked something to the other Ardani. Then she turned to Sunwoo. "They are right," she said. "This is our way. When trapped, we remove the trapped part. My leg will grow back in time." "But that would hurt you," said Sunwoo. "Pain is temporary. Death is forever," said Hana. More rocks could fall. "We must leave quickly." As if to prove her point, the ground shook again. Smaller rocks fell around them. "See," said one of the green Ardani. "We must be practical. Cut the leg and go." Jai-Ho and Doyen had come back down the tunnel. They heard everything. "Can we lift the rock?" asked Jai-Ho, looking at the huge boulder. Doyen shook her head. "It's too heavy, and we don't have the right equipment." "Then we must cut," said the green Ardani. It pulled out a small tool that glowed red at the tip. "This will cut through the leg shell quickly." Sunwoo stepped between the Ardani and Hana. "No," he said firmly. "There has to be another way." "There is no other way," clicked the Ardani. "This is how we survive." "Humans find other ways," said Sunwoo. "We don't give up so easily." Hana's large eyes looked at Sunwoo. "Why risk everyone for one leg? It makes no sense." "Because that's what humans do," said Sunwoo. "We help each other. We find solutions to problems that seem impossible." Another shake made more dust fall from the ceiling. Time was running out. "We have minutes, maybe less," said Doyen. "What's your plan, Sunwoo?" All eyes turned to him. The Ardani waited for his answer. Jai-Ho and Doyen looked worried but ready to help. Sunwoo took a deep breath. He needed a plan, and he needed it now. "Everyone, show me what tools we have," said Sunwoo. "Empty your packs." Jai-Ho quickly opened his backpack. He laid out tools, wires, and small devices. Doyen added a rope, a first aid kit, and some emergency flares. Sunwoo put down his sample collection tools and a small computer. The green Ardani watched, clicking to each other. One spoke through its translator. "This is a waste of time. The rock is too heavy. The leg is already damaged." "Can you grow back your legs?" asked Jai-Ho. "Yes," said Hana, her voice calm despite her pain. "It will take 3 to 4 of your Earth months, but it will grow back." "Then why not cut it?" asked Doyen. "If you can grow a new one." Sunwoo knelt beside Hana. "Because there's a better way." "There is no better way," said one of the green Ardani. "Our people have done this for thousands of years. When trapped, cut and survive. Simple. Logical." "Humans survived thousands of years by not giving up," said Sunwoo. "That's our way." The cave shook again. Small rocks rained down on them. "We don't have time for a debate," said Doyen. The whole cave could collapse. Then you should go, said Sunwoo. Take the samples. I'll stay with Hana. No, said Jai-ho. I'm staying too. I'm an engineer. Maybe I can help. Doyen sighed. Fine. I'll stay too. Someone needs to keep you both alive. The green Ardani's legs moved in what looked like frustration. This is not logical, one said. You risk 3 lives for 1 leg. We risk 3 lives to save 1 person, corrected Sunwoo. That's what humans do. I am not worth this risk, said Hana. Please, cut my leg and let us leave. Sunwoo looked at her. Hana, do you trust me? The Ardani's big eyes blinked. Trust is not relevant. Facts are relevant. The fact is that my leg is trapped under a very heavy rock. Facts aren't everything, said Sunwoo. Sometimes you need faith. Faith. Hana tilted her head in confusion. Belief that something is possible, even when it seems impossible. Jai-ho was examining the rock and the cave floor around it. The rock is granite. Very heavy. But look at the floor. It's not solid. There's a small gap under part of it. Sunwoo moved closer to look. Jai-ho was right. The rock wasn't sitting flat on the ground. One side was higher than the other. We don't need to lift the whole rock, said Sunwoo. We just need to lift it enough to pull Hana's leg out. Still too heavy, said one of the green Ardani. Not if we use physics, said Jai-ho, his eyes bright with ideas. We need a lever and a fulcrum. Doyen looked at their tools. We have metal rods from the sample kits. Would those work? Yes, said Jai-ho. And we need something solid for the fulcrum, the turning point. Another shake made them all duck as more dust fell. Work fast, said Doyen. The green Ardani watched as the humans gathered their tools. They clicked to each other, then one stepped forward. We will help, it said. But if it fails, we cut the leg. Sunwoo nodded. Fair enough. Hana's body trembled with pain, but she stayed still. I do not understand. Why try so hard for 1 leg? Sunwoo smiled at her. Because where I come from, we have stories about people who moved mountains to save someone they cared about. Mountains cannot be moved, said Hana. It's just a saying, said Sunwoo. It means doing something that seems impossible because you care. Humans are strange, said Hana. Yes, we are, agreed Sunwoo. But sometimes being strange helps us find solutions no one else would think of. Jai-ho had set up a metal rod under the edge of the rock. He was trying to place smaller rocks as a fulcrum. This might work, he said, but we'll need everyone's strength. Another shake, stronger than before. A large crack appeared in the wall near them. We need to hurry, said Doyen. I think the whole cave is coming down. Time was running out. Here's the plan, said Jai-ho, pointing to his setup. This metal rod is our lever. These rocks are our fulcrum, the point where the lever turns. When we push down on this end, the other end will lift the rock. Sunwoo nodded. How much can it lift? Maybe a few inches, said Jai-ho. It depends on how strong we are. A few inches might be enough, said Sunwoo. He turned to Hana. When we lift the rock, can you pull your leg out quickly? Hana's eyes blinked. I will try. But my leg may be too damaged to move. I'll help pull you, said Doyen. Just tell me where to hold that won't hurt you. The green Ardani moved closer to look at Jai-ho's lever. Interesting, one said. We know of such tools but would not think to make one here. Humans are good at making tools from whatever is around, said Sunwoo. It's how we survived on Earth. Jai-ho finished setting up the lever. The metal rod was about 6 feet long. One end was under the edge of the boulder. The other end pointed up, ready to be pushed down. Everyone except Doyen needs to push on this end, said Jai-ho. Doyen, you help Hana pull free when the rock lifts. They took their positions. Sunwoo, Jai-ho, and the 2 green Ardani stood ready to push on the lever. Doyen knelt beside Hana, ready to pull her. On my count, said Jai-ho. 1, 2, 3. Push. They pushed down on the lever with all their strength. The metal bent, but didn't break. The boulder moved slightly, lifting maybe 2 inches off the ground. Pull now, shouted Sunwoo. Doyen grabbed Hana and pulled. Hana tried to help by pushing with her other legs, but the trapped leg didn't move. It's stuck, said Doyen. Keep pushing, Jae-ho told the others. His face was red with effort. They pushed harder. The boulder lifted another inch. Doyen pulled again, but Hana's leg remained trapped. It's not working, said one of the green Ardani. The leg is crushed into the ground. They couldn't hold the weight any longer. The lever slipped, and the boulder settled back down. Everyone was breathing hard from the effort. We need something stronger, said Jae-ho, or a better angle. The cave shook again. A large piece of the wall cracked and fell nearby. We don't have time to try again, said one of the green Ardani. It took out the cutting tool. Now we must cut. No, said Sunwoo firmly. We need a different approach. He looked at their tools again. Jae-ho, what about the survey scanner? Could we use its power cell? Jae-ho's eyes widened. Yes, the power cell is strong. We could make a small hydraulic lift. A what? Asked Doyen. A machine that uses fluid pressure to lift heavy things, explained Jae-ho. Like the ones that lift cars in repair shops. He quickly began taking apart the survey scanner. His fingers moved fast, connecting wires and tubes. This will work better than the lever, he said. But I need something to use as fluid. Water, suggested Sunwoo. Perfect. Doyen, do you have water in your pack? Doyen pulled out a water bottle and handed it to Jae-ho. While Jae-ho worked, Sunwoo sat near Hana. How are you feeling? He asked. Pain is strong, she said, but I am managing it. You're very brave. Not brave. Practical. Her eyes studied him. Why do you try so hard to save my leg? It is just one of 6. Not worth all this. Sunwoo thought for a moment. Humans evolved as hunters on Earth. We had to chase animals for days sometimes. We couldn't give up when things got hard. You hunted for days. Hana seemed surprised. Yes, we're not the strongest or fastest animals, but we never stop trying. We keep going when others would quit. It's called persistence hunting. And this is why you won't cut my leg. Because of how you hunted. Partly, said Sunwoo. But also because we care about each other. Every part of you matters. Jae-ho called over. It's ready. I've made a small hydraulic lift. It should be stronger than the lever. Sunwoo smiled at Hana. See, humans always find another way. The ground shook again. They were running out of time. Jae-ho placed his makeshift hydraulic lift next to the boulder. It looked strange. A mix of tubes, the power cell from the scanner, and parts from their other tools. But Sunwoo trusted his friend's skills. This should lift with much more force than our lever, said Jae-ho. When I turn it on, the water pressure will push this plate up against the rock. How long will it take? Asked Doyen, looking nervously at the cracking walls. Just a few seconds to start lifting, said Jae-ho. But we'll need to work fast. The power cell won't last long. Everyone took their positions again. Doyen knelt by Hana, ready to pull her free. The green Ardani stood nearby, their cutting tools still ready just in case. Here we go, said Jae-ho. He pressed a button on the power cell. The hydraulic lift hummed. The metal plate at the top began to push against the boulder. Slowly, the huge rock started to rise. It's working, said Sunwoo. The boulder lifted 1 inch, then 2. Jae-ho's face showed both hope and worry. The power cell is getting hot, he warned. We don't have much time. Now, Doyen, called Sunwoo. Doyen pulled on Hana while the Ardeni tried to move her trapped leg. There was a scraping sound as the crushed leg began to slide free. It's moving, said Doyen. Then there was a loud pop. Sparks flew from the power cell. The hydraulic lift stopped working, and the boulder crashed back down. "No," shouted Sunwoo. Hana's leg was still trapped. They had moved it a little, but not enough. Jaiho picked up the broken power cell. It burned out. "I can't fix this." The two green Ardani stepped forward. "Now do you see?" One said, "Your human ways have failed. We have wasted precious time." The cave shook harder this time. Large chunks of rock fell nearby. One of the green Ardani was nearly hit. "We must leave now," it said. "Cut the leg, or we all die here." Doyen looked at Sunwoo. "Maybe they're right. We tried our way. It didn't work." "We can't give up," said Sunwoo. But doubt crept into his voice. Hana spoke up. "Sunwoo, I appreciate what you tried to do. But now you must be practical. Save yourselves. Cut my leg." Sunwoo knelt beside her. "Hana, I promised we'd get you out whole." "And you tried," said Hana. "That is enough." The green Ardani moved closer with the cutting tool. "Step aside, human." Sunwoo didn't move. His mind raced, searching for another solution. "Wait," he said suddenly. "The crystals." "What about them?" asked Jaiho. "Remember how they stored energy? What if we could use that energy?" Jaiho shook his head. "We don't know how to access it." "But we have samples," said Sunwoo. He grabbed his pack and pulled out the crystal samples they had collected. Some of these were glowing. "They have energy we might use." The green Ardani clicked impatiently. More delays. More risk. Another shake rocked the cave. A large crack spread across the ceiling above them. "We have minutes at most," warned Doyen. Hana looked at Sunwoo. For the first time, her voice sounded tired. "Why can't you accept when something is impossible?" she asked. "Because humans don't believe in impossible," said Sunwoo. "We've done things our ancestors would have thought were magic. We've cured diseases. We've flown to the stars. We've survived when everything said we should die." He held up one of the glowing crystals. "One more try. That's all I ask." Jaiho looked at the crystal, then at their broken tools. Slowly, an idea seemed to form in his mind. "The flares," he said. "Doyen, your emergency flares. They have chemicals that burn at very high temperatures." "Yes," said Doyen. "What are you thinking?" "If we combine the crystal energy with the flare chemicals, we might be able to." Jaiho's voice trailed off as he began working with the materials. The green Ardani watched, their cutting tool still ready. "One more try," one said. "Then we cut." Sunwoo nodded. "One more try." He looked at Hana. "Do you trust me now?" Hana's large eyes blinked slowly. "I am beginning to understand faith." Outside, thunder rumbled. The whole planet seemed to be shaking apart. Jaiho worked fast. His hands moved from the broken hydraulic lift to the flares to the glowing crystals. Everyone watched in silence, broken only by the rumbling of the unstable cave. "I studied mining engineering in school," Jaiho explained as he worked. "There's an old technique for breaking rocks without big explosions. Controlled fracturing," said Sunwoo, remembering his friend's studies. "Exactly," said Jaiho. "Instead of trying to lift the whole boulder, we can break it into smaller pieces." Doyen looked worried. "Won't explosions bring down the whole cave?" "Not if we make them small and put them in the right places," said Jaiho. He held up the emergency flares. "These burn hot enough to crack rock if we focus the heat." Sunwoo took out his small computer. "We need to scan the boulder to find its weak points." "Weak points?" asked Hana. "All rocks have lines where they can break more easily," explained Sunwoo. "Like the lines in a piece of wood." The computer's screen showed the boulder with colored lines running through it. "There," said Sunwoo, pointing to several spots. "Those are the stress lines." Jaiho nodded and began placing small amounts of the flare material at those points. Then he carefully pushed tiny crystal fragments into each spot. "The crystals will boost the energy," he said. "Make the heat more focused." One of the green Ardani moved closer to watch, its head tilted in what looked like curiosity. This is impressive thinking, it admitted. Humans are good at finding new solutions to old problems, said Sunwoo. The cave shook again. The large section of wall collapsed not far from them. Hurry, urged Doyen. Almost ready, said Jai-ho. He connected thin wires between all the spots he had prepared. Everyone move back as far as you can, except Doyen. She needs to stay close to pull Hana free. They all moved back. Jai-ho held a small device connected to the wires. This will send electricity through the wires, he explained. It will set off our microcharges all at once. Will it hurt Hana? Asked Sunwoo. I've placed the charges away from her leg, said Jai-ho. But we don't know exactly what will happen. Hana's eyes fixed on Sunwoo. If this fails. It won't, said Sunwoo. But if it does, promise you will cut and save yourselves, said Hana. After a moment, Sunwoo nodded. I promise. Jai-ho raised the device. Ready? 3, 2, 1. He pressed the button. There was a series of sharp cracks, like the sound of ice breaking. Small flashes of light came from the boulder. The cave filled with smoke and the smell of burning. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, lines appeared across the boulder. The huge rock was breaking apart. It's working, shouted Sunwoo. The cracks spread. Pieces of the boulder began to fall away. One large section rolled to the side. Now, Doyen, called Jai-ho. Doyen grabbed Hana and pulled. This time, the Ardani's leg moved. With one final tug, Hana came free. She fell backward, all 6 legs sprawling. We did it. Sunwoo rushed to Hana's side. The leg was badly damaged. The hard shell was cracked, and blue fluid leaked out, but it was still attached. Can you move it? Asked Sunwoo. Hana tried. The leg twitched slightly. Yes, the inner parts still work. The green Ardani clicked to each other in surprise. Your leg can be saved, one said. This is unexpected. A massive shake hit the cave. Large chunks of ceiling began to fall all around them. We need to leave now, shouted Doyen. Jai-ho quickly gathered their most important equipment. The exit tunnel is still open. We need to run. Hana tried to stand but stumbled. Her damaged leg couldn't hold weight. Without hesitation, Sunwoo moved to her side. Lean on me. I am too heavy for you, said Hana. Try me, said Sunwoo with a smile. He positioned himself under her, using his body to support her weight. Together, they moved toward the tunnel as the cave collapsed behind them. Hurry, called the green Ardani from the tunnel entrance. As rocks crashed down all around them, the team rushed into the tunnel, climbing upward toward safety and light. The tunnel shook as they climbed. Rocks fell from the ceiling. Dust filled the air, making it hard to see and breathe. Keep moving, shouted Doyen from the front. She used her light to show the way. The 2 green Ardani moved quickly on their 6 legs. Jai-ho followed, carrying the bag of crystal samples. Behind them came Sunwoo, still supporting Hana. Her injured leg dragged along the ground, leaving a trail of blue fluid. Are you okay? Sunwoo asked Hana. His face was red from the effort of helping support her weight. Yes, said Hana. You are stronger than you look. Sunwoo smiled through his heavy breathing. Humans can do amazing things when they need to. A loud crash came from below. The crystal cave was completely collapsing now. The tunnel won't hold much longer, warned Jai-ho. We need to move faster. Hana tried to move more quickly, but her injured leg made it difficult. She stumbled, nearly falling. Doyen came back to help. She positioned herself on Hana's other side. Now both humans were supporting the Ardani. Teamwork, said Doyen with a smile. The 2 green Ardani stopped and turned back. They watched the humans helping Hana. After a moment of clicking to each other, they returned and positioned themselves in front of Hana. Hold on to us, one said. We will pull while the humans push. Now all 5 of them were working together. With the green Ardani pulling from the front and the humans supporting from behind, they moved much faster up the tunnel. "I see light," called Jai-Ho, pointing ahead. A small dot of daylight showed at the end of the tunnel. They pushed harder, moving toward it. The tunnel continued to collapse behind them, the crash of falling rocks getting closer and closer. With one final effort, they burst out of the tunnel into the open air of Taros. They moved away from the entrance just as it collapsed in a cloud of dust. They all fell to the ground, breathing hard. For a long moment, no one spoke. They just looked at each other, amazed to be alive. Then Sunwoo started laughing. Ji-Ho joined in. Even Doyen, who was usually serious, smiled. "What is funny?" asked one of the green Ardani. "We made it," said Sunwoo, when everything said we couldn't. He looked at Hana's leg. In the daylight, he could see how badly it was damaged. The hard shell was cracked in many places. Blue fluid leaked from the cracks. But it was still attached to her body. "We need to bandage that," he said, reaching for the first aid kit. "Our medical team will fix it when we return to the ship," said one of the green Ardani. It seemed to study Hana's leg with new interest. "It is surprising that the leg can be saved." Sunwoo carefully wrapped bandages around the worst cracks in Hana's leg. When he was done, the blue fluid had stopped leaking. "Try to move it again," he suggested. Hana focused. The leg twitched, then bent slightly. "It still works," she said. Her voice through the translator sounded amazed. "Of course it does," said Sunwoo. "That's why we didn't give up." Doyen checked her communication device. "The ship is coming to pick us up. They'll be here in 10 minutes. Jai-Ho held up the bag of crystal samples. "At least we got what we came for." "And more," said Hana. She looked at Sunwoo. "I have learned much about humans today." "What have you learned?" asked Sunwoo. "That you are stubborn," said Hana. "That you do not accept the easy answer when it hurts someone. That you find new ways when old ways fail." Sunwoo smiled. "Those are good things to know about humans." "Yes," agreed Hana. "They are good things." The green Ardani stepped forward. "We too have learned. Perhaps our way is not always the best way." The sound of the ship's engines filled the air. It appeared in the sky above them, coming to take them home. As they waited, Hana's leg moved again. Each time, it bent a little more easily. "It will heal," said Sunwoo confidently. "And you'll be walking on all 6 legs again soon." "Because humans don't give up," said Hana. "That's right," said Sunwoo. "We never do." 1 month later, Sunwoo stood in the meeting room on Horizon Station. Captain Lee and several other humans sat around the table. Across from them sat a group of Ardani, including Hana and the 2 green Ardani who had been on the cave expedition. Hana walked into the room on all 6 legs. Her once injured leg moved almost normally now. Only a few dark lines on the blue shell showed where it had been damaged. "The crystal study team has made a breakthrough," announced Captain Lee. "Thanks to the samples brought back from Taros, we have found a new energy source." Jai-Ho stood up and showed slides on the big screen. "The crystals store energy in a unique way. We can use this for new technology that will help both humans and Ardani." Sunwoo watched proudly as Jai-Ho explained their findings. But his eyes kept moving to Hana. He still remembered how close she had come to losing her leg. After the meeting, Sunwoo and Hana walked together through the station. "Your leg has healed well," said Sunwoo. "Yes," said Hana. "Your human doctors worked with our Ardani healers. Together, they found new ways to fix damaged shells." "Another example of our people working well together," said Sunwoo. They stopped by a large window that looked out at the stars. For a moment, they stood in silence. "My people have been talking about what happened in the cave," said Hana finally. "It has made us think differently." "In what way?" asked Sunwoo. "For thousands of years, we believed that sacrifice was the logical choice. Cut off what cannot be saved. Move on quickly. But now we see there is another way." Hana turned to face Sunwoo. 3 Ardani ships were damaged in a meteor shower last week. In the past, we would have left them behind. But this time, we sent help. We saved the ships and all crew members. Sun Wu smiled. That's wonderful. It took longer. It was harder. But in the end, we saved more than we lost. Hannah's head tilted. We are learning from humans. And we're learning from you, said Sun Wu. Your careful planning and practical thinking have helped us too. On the other side of the station, a group of human and Ardani scientists were working together in a new lab. They were studying ways to use the crystal energy for healing. The most important thing we've learned, said Hannah, is that different ways of thinking make us stronger together. Alone, my leg would be gone. Together, we found a better way. A young Ardani approached them. Its shell was a pale green. It carried a small device. Excuse me, it said to Sun Wu. Are you the human who saved Hannah's leg? I had help, said Sun Wu modestly. It was a team effort. I am studying human problem solving, said the young Ardani. Would you teach me? Sun Wu looked at Hannah, who seemed amused. I'd be happy to, he told the young Ardani. As they walked to the teaching area, Sun Wu saw many humans and Ardani working together. Engineers, scientists, medical teams, all sharing knowledge and ideas. Before you came, said the young Ardani, my teachers told us that humans were strange, that you took unnecessary risks and wasted time trying to save things that should be left behind. And what do you think now? Asked Sun Wu. I think, said the young Ardani, that sometimes the long way is the best way, and that giving up is not always the smartest choice. Hannah made a clicking sound that Sun Wu now recognized as laughter. You have changed us, she said, one leg at a time. Later that day, Captain Lee announced a new joint mission. Humans and Ardani would explore more cave systems together. Sun Wu was named team leader, with Hannah as his partner. Are you ready for another adventure? Sun Wu asked her. Yes, said Hannah, but this time I hope all my legs stay free. And if not, said Sun Wu with a smile, we'll figure it out. Together. Together, agreed Hannah. The human way. No, said Sun Wu, looking at the mixed teams working all around them. Our way. And in that moment, 2 very different species found a new path forward, one that neither could have walked alone.